Diviner, it's good to see you again. Perhaps the Great Serpent has blessed us with the second meeting to make up for the first one. A hostage situation is hardly the place to make a good first impression. You forgot me already. It's me, Sahima, the scientist from House Kadik. Granted, we did meet under very chaotic circumstances. And it's nice to meet you too. Now we can talk about the important stuff, like your favorite food. Mine is ice cream. Anyway, while it's good to take a breath and relax, I do like a good adventure. In fact, I have to admit, I'm a little envious of your situation. I'm stuck here in the house while you are traveling the stars, discovering new orbits, and building a bridge for the promised. I was hoping you'd say that. I promise you, you won't regret it. I don't want to brag, but I'm proficient at just about everything. Of course! Jinan Barun was a traveler, like yourself. He is proof that through exploration, we find our purpose. Oh, don't you dare. Don't doubt me like everyone else in my life. Because I know you're different. Yes, I don't look like a soldier. I barely pass for an adult. But I can hold my own. Okay, maybe I like bragging a little. But it's not a lie, truly. The Great Serpent has blessed us both with gifts. If we work together, I know we can help each other grow them. Not a lot of people know this, but I'm an expert with the sniper rifle. It's not so different from using a telescope. I've also studied ship reactor and EM weapon tech. I even developed a prototype for Varun hymns that's currently in production. Ever since I can remember, math and science came easy to me. And as any herald will tell you, innate abilities like that are a gift from the Great Serpent. They're signposts, a map for the promise so that we may find the best way to serve his will. The Great Serpent teaches us that no road is a straight one. Your doubts will pass once we spend some time together. I'm sure of it. But first, stupid question, but do you happen to know where my assignment is? Okay, no assignment. Not a problem. I'm used to delays. Just let me know when you have a place in mind. Prayer isn't spoken. It's felt. I will serve you and the serpent faithfully.
How's your day, Ben?
Hey, Captain.
Hopefully better than mine.
I'm right behind you.
Never a dull moment when it comes to conjunction.
Better here than finding ways to be as invasive as possible, like House Bedall.
Did you need to talk? I'm game, Captain. It's only a remnant of what it once was. The scaled citadel, trapped on the horizon, is a constant reminder of that. And yet, I still feel Dazra offers much to a visitor like yourself. To me, cities are like people. They have personalities, moods, and stories. Some days you want a teacher. Others you need a guide. And some days you seek neither. You just need a friend. Empathy for others. Patience for the lost. Discipline for what must be endured. And a working hand to pet the groats. By knocking with opportunity. Whispers, rumors, and gossip can lead to new adventures. You just have to lend your ear to them. A city is the perfect companion. It gives you fun, entertainment, and it's a great listener. Well, depending on where you are. It's rough and hazardous, like its people. But outside of our culture, it's also shaped the way our technology has grown. The planet is rich with natural resources, and we use them in our grab drive experiments. None of this is coincidence, of course. The Great Serpent called us here, knowing Varun Kai would provide for the promised. Somber, for all it has endured. But also resilient, for the rebuilding and the work yet to come. Dazra and its people will rebound from this tragedy. I am sure of it. What is it? Of course, let's talk. It's a snake with two heads, pardon the pun. Our elder Razma leads the Ministry of Conjunction, and Jimal, her sister, is a mediary on the High Council. They are sisters in every sense of the word. Close, like-minded, but when they disagree, it's very much like nuclear fission. When the bond is split, energy is released, and kaboom! The world explodes. Okay, maybe it's not that dramatic, but you get the idea. I don't speak often with my uncle Mujin. Him and my cousin Okim are always off doing their own thing. As for my cousin Mirek, he and I have never gotten along. I don't know if he sees me as a threat, but he has never treated me like one of the family. It is unfortunate, but fated. Gavin is dear to me. Unlike my other colleagues, with him I never feel like it's a competition. I can tell him about my research and not have to worry about him spinning it as his own. That's a complicated question. In the noble houses, there are two types of family. The ones who are born into it, and the ones who are brought into the fold. I was adopted into House Kadik as a teenager because of my gift. Adopted implies we are brought on to be cared for. If anything, conscripted fits better. I was brought on to serve. Yes. On the one hand, I am valued for my contributions. But what happens when I can no longer contribute? What is my worth to the house then? Unlike a lot of my cousins, I didn't join House Kadik until I was mostly grown. And ever since I joined, there's always been an element of you don't belong here. That I'm only a Kadik so long as I'm useful. That's true. But families should be different, right? Why else would they give me the name? But sometimes, I'm not so sure. I know I like to project confidence and act as if I know everything. But the truth is, it's all an act. Whenever I talk about something, it's as if I have this voice in the back of my head telling me I'm wrong. And sometimes that voice gets so loud that I have to scream my own praises just to drown it. Thanks. I must sound whiny and ungrateful, but it does feel nice to vent. Anyway, thank you for the talk. I know a lot of this is in my own head, and you've given me a lot to think about. If you don't mind, I'd like to digest it a little more before we continue. I'm sorry, but I want to think on it. Don't worry, I'll still be around if you need anything else. Worship is to use the heart's voice when the throat fails. Sure, let's talk. I'm self-taught, actually. My parents died before I could remember, and I was left in the care of the orphanage. But I left at a young age to train as a herald, so I could someday spread the gospel of the Great Serpent. Except there is one problem. I refused to speak. I was completely mute. The heralds might have agreed, especially when you're dealing with orphans who ask too many questions. I was told to focus on reading, writing, and shooting. However, since I was left to my own devices, Oftentimes, I would make my own curriculum. And the more I read about Jinan Varun, the more curious I got about the physics behind grav jumps. But it wasn't until I met my father, Amon Kadik, that my path changed from herald to scientist. Yes, when we say all must serve, we mean it. It's just the manner of service that varies. But the base expectation is that we know how to fight. For myself, long-range weapons made the most sense due to my size. But I also trained with the growth dagger in the event I had to be sneaky and kill someone close. That would be some trick if you did. No one has seen him for years. But while he was here, he accomplished much in service to House Varun. We met in the strangest way. He was dealing with a mathematical problem, but came to the temple to pray for guidance. Oh, you should have seen the look on his face when I offered him the solution. It was the second most shocked look I've ever seen in my life. Well, maybe I exaggerated a little. I pointed him in the right direction. He carried it to the finish line. From there, we discussed all manner of scientific theory for hours and hours into the night. At some point, the sun began to cut through the windows, and the heralds began to spill in for their morning prayer. And that's when I saw the most shocked look I have ever seen in my life. Because they all realized what I didn't until that very moment. My voice had come back. That's what Amon said too. So he adopted me into House Kadik to train me as his apprentice. For the next 6 years, Amon helped me grow from an amateur physicist to the person I am today. And then one day, he just disappeared. No one knows why. It was. But I didn't have time to really process what happened because of the work we were doing for the High Council. Regardless, that day I not only lost a mentor, I lost my chief advocate. My colleagues started to ignore me. They didn't respect me as a scientist, so of course no one listened when I warned them about the morning device. In a strange way, I had lost my voice again. Oh, I bet they do, but they will never admit it publicly. It's odd to say, but the disaster is what gave me my voice back. There's a comfort in knowing history will remember me kindly, even if my colleagues will not. I'm not sure I follow. There's nothing to reconcile. Our beliefs don't contradict science. Traditional scientists may differ, but they have a history of being close-minded. It's almost as if the older you get, the more stubborn and rigid your brain becomes. Like bread. Well, how would you describe dark matter? It's invisible, formless, not bound by the rules of electromagnetism. Yet without it, the universe cannot be explained. The motion of galaxies, the clusters and filaments, it all becomes a mystery when you remove this unknowable thing. The vortex of folded space is the same way. There are parts we understand, and parts that only make sense in the context of a greater being. That being is what we call the Great Serpent. I'll answer your question with another. When did you start to believe the sun will rise? At first, it's just something you take on faith. As you grow up, you learn to doubt. And faith without reason is a fool's scripture. Therefore, you seek answers. You learn about the rotation of the planets and the life cycle of a star. And so your faith in the sun's rise becomes something else. A matter of fact. Exactly! Nothing is given. Everything is dough. Anyway, sorry if I seem a little defensive. I'm just used to people not taking me seriously. I'm one of the best scientists in the world, but I still have to fight for respect, because I look so young. You can say that, but my accomplishments say otherwise. And I'm tired of people judging me by my appearance. And it's not just science. I get the same dirty looks when I preach the gospel of the Great Serpent. No one wants to be lectured by a child. But if I was bald and bearded, I bet even the accursed would become true believers. Oh, that would be fun to try, just as an experiment. As long as they can restore my old face. I don't want to be stuck that way. But now I want to know more about your beliefs. Who do you think created our universe? And by God, surely you mean the Great Serpent? But I do realize it's a popular answer among outsiders. I wonder if that word choice is intentionally vague, or if they have a particular form in mind when they use it? Because I've heard that term to mean many different things. But that's a conversation for another time. On that note, I think I need a break from this topic. Epistemological debates are fun, but exhausting. Let me know if that changes. Please, there are people around. Something's moving out there.